We are continuing the tribute stream, so we plan to extend it indefinitely. It is continuing, and we're here again, just kind of continuing the trend. Thank you for tuning in. This stream is officially dedicated to fast food. We're going to talk fast food mishaps, retail mishaps. That's really the topic today. We're not going to veer from that in any way. We're not going to talk about gaming. We're not going to talk about any of this other unimportant stuff in the world. It's purely going to be about the fast food industry or retail industry and their shortcomings. So, I'll just pass the baton to you guys.
To us guys?
Yeah.
Or this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've only had.
Do you know? I'm not even kidding with you. Do you realize there's a company that does surveys of customer service, food satisfaction, and I think one of the criteria, and they have ranked the top fast food restaurants they've done it for the past 20 years. 2018's just came out. Do you know what the number one fast food restaurant is according to this survey, which is like 20,000 people of like food quality, customer service?
Okay, so it's all those categories.
All lumped into one, and they say this is the best fast food.
Burger King.
I'm gonna
You
say.
are incredibly wrong.
Okay, I was gonna say if I had to pick, it would be like a Rogue thing. Like I'd say like
Like
Wendy's.
Rally Burger.
It's Rogue all right.
Yeah, I would say it's like Wendy's or something.
I'll go weird and say Raising Cane's.
What is that?
It's a rogue. There you go. It's a rogue agent.
Hey, we just got just got one in San Diego, and it's all they do. They do like one thing. They make fried chicken strips.
It's so
And-
good.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. And they got like one sauce, and that's it. But you probably like it. It's good. Oh, no,
Okay.
wait.
Yeah.
Do you eat? Do you
I
eat
don't
chicken?
eat- I don't eat meat.
You don't eat
Oh,
meat at
shit.
all.
No.
Is that a health thing, or is it like a
I
caring
have,
for the animals?
Well, I do care for animals, and so I'm
Yeah.
sure that would play a part in it. If what trumps that is the fact that I literally have some sort of mental block and I have since I was a kid. It grosses me out. It literally is
Really?
it's that childish. It's that simple.
Oh, no kidding.
When I go to Vegas and I get really drunk, I can and I like the taste of meat. Like I'll eat filet mignon, I'll eat
Yeah.
a steak.
Yeah.
But when the waiter comes over and says, "Oh, would you like bone in?" I'm like, "You're
Grosses
telling me I
you
can
out?
see the fucking bone?" And that looks like when it looks like what it was, I
Yeah.
want nothing to do with it.
No
the number
kidding.
one restaurant was Chick-fil-fucking-A.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you know? And I won't eat there because they're anti-gay stuff, right? And I have a brother who's gay, and after he told me, he's like, "Well, you can eat there, but fuck you." I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm not eating there." But you know what their number one food item is at Chick-fil-A? Guess.
The burger.
No,
The chicken
just the
strips.
Chick-fil-A
they're
sandwich.
fucking French fries.
Oh,
Wow.
the
The
waffle fries.
waffle
Yeah, they're waffle
fries are
fries.
the best French fries.
Oh, the waffle fries, they are good.
They're
Hell
brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah.
They are good.
So that's my little trivia. So.
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah.
That's interesting though. Talking about you were saying about not. Has that been that's been your whole life since you were a kid?
I was probably 5 when it started.
Really?
Yeah, and it was just I used to love Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then when my brother's like, "You know what that is you're eating?" I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Well, look at it. It's a leg that they ripped off a chicken and cooked." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god!"
Well,
you're
you
a
can see
fucking-
that it's a leg.
Yeah,
And yeah,
and you're like,
I can see that.
And you see people walking around Disneyland with those fucking chicken legs.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you're
I
like,
hate those.
It's
Yeah.
like you're fucking barbarian.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
How funny. No, that's interesting because I know a few people that have told me it's always to do with chicken. I feel like because I know multiple people that were like that they did eat meat and they did eat chicken and all that, and then they were like preparing a chicken to cook it or something and like broke a bone. And it was like that was so repulsive. I didn't want to like eat it anymore. It's like it's funny how chicken.
I
is
don't
a
think
turning
it's
point.
healthy, by the way. I think it's a mental problem. I think we're supposed to eat animals. I do. I mean,
Sure.
I want, I'm not to say like, "Oh, why would they be here?" I'm so fucking arrogant.
Sure.
But you got all these fish swimming around. What else are they going to do? I mean, I think that's the point.
Sure.
And I think if you look at other animals, they eat each other. I just think I would say that if a doctor looked at me and they said, "Oh, you're on page 804 of the DSM-5 mental health issue book," it's like you have this food thing. I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah.
Back when I was in high school, we had a agriculture department, one of the few in like the area. And one of the things, I never took it, but I heard other students doing this, was that you actually raised a chicken and cooked it and ate it, like prepared it and everything.
Whoa.
Because that's part of the whole farming thing. And, and I heard that really just puts a new perspective on meat in general when you've actually raised it and everything like that. And
I saw, Ronda Rousey,
Yeah.
Okay, so she has a farm, and
okay.
she has a farm, and I have a crush on Ronda Rousey, and
I thought you were gonna say crush on her farm.
no,
It's
but
really
she
well done
basically
farm.
did a video from her farm, and she's like, oh, for Thanksgiving we basically raised our turkey, and we killed it, and I'm like, she's like, it was really sad, but we love that turkey, and he had a good life, and then we just ate it. I'm like, how can you fucking sit at the table and eat this thing that you were like petting and loving and cooing on, and you fucking eat it, you savage? And she's like, well, I'm fucking Ronda Rousey. I'm like, what do you fucking expect from me? But I've gotten into wrestling, folks. That's the way it is.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, with that stuff, I kind of have a circle of life kind of mentality to it. It's like, we eat animals. That's what, all the creatures eat the thing. Like I get that. But I think there's balance too. There's some people, there's some like, I couldn't go through with the whole thing, like hunting and killing. It's for survival, I guess.
I think
if
that's
had
different.
to.
Yeah. I mean, there was a great exhibit down here at the museum recently about cannibalism, actually.
Oh, right. It was
Did
right
you
across
see
from the Museum of Man.
That's right. It was, and it covered everything from like the Dahmer case, the famous cannibalism, to like, hey, look, man, if you bite your fingernails, you're a cannibal. It's like there's a lot of ways that
covers everything.
It covers everything.
Yeah.
And they did a documentary with the people who had to eat each other in I think it was the Dahmer party, the plane crash.
okay.
And they were like, it was so hard, and they prayed, and it was a religious experience, and they literally talked about how they like sliced off the flesh of the dead people, and they were like, the actual pieces of flesh were about this long and about that wide, and they said it was like jerky, and it was just they could barely keep it down, but you do what you got to do to survive.
They were gonna either all of them die or just some.
Yeah.
Like
I remember, who was it? I think it was the dude from Metallica, like James Hetfield, or were you a big Metallica guy? I don't know.
Not so. I mean, I'm not anti. I just don't know their music. that much.
I've always like appreciated them from a distance, but I never like owned their music or anything. But whatever, Metallica. If you're watching this, respect. No, but anyway, I remember everyone was really mad at or his neighbors or something were really mad at the lead singer guy because he hunted, but he was like, I don't hunt for fun. Like I wanted to. I hated that all the meat my kids ate was full of all this shit. So I basically when I bring the meat, it's like meat that I've either raised that animal or I've hunted or whatever. And it's like, well, I guess someone's killing your meal either way. I guess because I'm not like a big hunting guy, but it's like, I guess if someone's either way, an animal's dying for what you're eating. So I guess who cares if you do it versus someone? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to think. What should I think about the lead singer of Metallica? Email us, podcast@mega60war.com, and give us your 2 cents. As long as he's not hunting humans. You never know, though.
Do you remember Hunting Bambi? There was a website called Hunting. This is back in the 90s and the early 2000s when the website was even more Wild West than it was.
Yeah.
And these guys released this video called Hunting Bambi. And it was a video of these hot naked women. And it was called Hunting Bambi. And it was basically, they would go off and paintball these women. And it created just this shitstorm, understandably.
Yeah.
Of feminists. And it made all these-
Bambi spoilers if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't Bambi the deer. They called the women Bambis.
Oh, okay.
It was insane, but I don't know how we got on that.
That
Yeah,
sounds
I
like some
don't know.
dark web shit.
Yeah, that does
No,
sound
no,
weird.
this was
Hunting Bambi.
normal web back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was
Normal web.
PBS Kids, and then there's Hunting Bambi.
Yeah, of
Well, I
course.
remember as a kid in 3rd grade having to do a research project on the U.S. government, and so the internet was new. So I went on WhiteHouse.com.
Oh, everybody went.
Oh, no.
I don't know what that is.
So WhiteHouse.com was a porn site that featured white,
You needed
white
WhiteHouse.gov.
girls. But as a 3rd grader,
man.
WhiteHouse.com, not WhiteHouse.gov. So yeah, back then when the normal web was quite dangerous.
Yeah, I think I remember multiple people in my class getting called into the office because they would monitor web stuff and it would be like, hey, what are all these images that are coming up on your computer? And it's like, I went to whitehouse.com.
What do you mean, what are they? They're naked ladies. You know what the fuck that is?
That would have been the best answer.
That
It's
would have
like,
been, you would have been the
principal,
coolest fucking kid.
look, I'm a level with you. I'm 16. What do you need to
I'm
know?
jerking it in the bathroom watching the WhiteHouse.com. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And then I would have been silent and gone, any questions?
Perhaps you would like to peruse my browser history, motherfucker. Can you imagine Samuel Jackson as a high school kid?
Yeah.
He would have been awesome. He would have been the best guy to be friends with.
Did you get in trouble in school a lot or
Yes.
anything?
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Or some
But not for. I mean, you didn't have. Did you? I mean, was the internet like a big? Because
No,
I feel like
no, there
'cause
was
for-
no internet. There was- oh, you're
yeah,
kidding,
because I was
there
gonna
was no
say for my generation, it was like that was when it was just entering the school.
Yeah,
like,
no.
hey, we have a computer with internet. In
Yeah,
here, you
no,
know?
I got in trouble for, I was,
Analog porn.
yeah, no, I didn't get in trouble for that either. I got in trouble for just, what I still look back and consider standing up to bullshit of
okay.
authority figures that thought just because they were an authority figure, I'm like, go fuck yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was great. I mean, and my parents were totally supportive. I would come home and they're like, we got a call from the principal today. And he said that you were at a speech that this governor came to give, and you basically accused him of being a homophobe. And I said, yeah, he is a homophobe. Look at what he did. And they're like, good for you. It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because when I was in high school, I was a pretty good kid. I had good grades, but I found myself in the principal's office a few times, and looking back, even as time goes on, it just becomes more and more ridiculous. Like, I remember being like in when we would have like break during high school, I would set up music and do like stupid dances and stuff just to be funny, like just to like
that
make my
got
friends
you
laugh.
sent to the principal?
And yeah, and I remember like getting like this huge security guy like threw me into he was like, come with me, and they brought me in, and I remember the vice principal came in and was like, hey, you're attracting a lot of attention. It's just hard to keep you safe when you. And I just think back, like, what the hell was that? Like, and it happened to me all the time. And my parents would be like, they brought you into the office for that, and it was always just kind of like,
Maybe they were still upset about your WhiteHouse.com.
yeah, maybe,
We
you
gotta
know,
get
you
him
never
for
know.
something.
Permanent
Those are-
record.
Yeah.
Does that still exist? The permanent record?
Oh
I know.
God! And how stupid too. I remember the day they were like, okay, now you're officially in 9th grade. Everything's going on your permanent record, and you cared about that shit.
Yeah.
And now my kids are like, my oldest daughter's 10th grade. And I'm like, who cares? It's like what your future career is going to be affected because you didn't do that well in a biology? Fuck you. She literally said to me today, she's got an art project, and she's like, can I stay home from school because all I have is English? We're watching Star Wars in English. I'm like, yeah, you can fucking stay home and work on your art. Are you kidding me? You're gonna watch Star Wars?
Oh man.
Probably
Yeah.
like one of the prequels.
I
no.
took a civics class. I took like a civics class in high school, and the way that class was run is every single day the teacher would just put on like 60 minutes of like the previous night's episode,
Oh, okay.
and that was the entire class. And on Fridays we'd take a test on it. So he used that class to just read books. So he wasn't doing his job. He would just play VHS tapes for the whole.
I would do. If I taught civics, I would just put the West Wing on. I would just say,
Yeah.
watch the fucking West Wing. I'll be over here if you have any questions. What's next? Boom. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, well, it just kind of, yeah, I just remember having those kinds of experiences and feeling like, what, like, I don't know, man. Like, some of it was, I never had anything with, like, porn or any I never got pulled in the office for anything like that. It was, like, completely innocent things, and I just think back, and it's like, no wonder how, so many students go through hard times and stuff, like, they don't feel like they, like, just for dancing, all the adults are against you.
It's like
then
John
what-
Lithgow in Footloose.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. That was a documentary.
Now
as
is
far as I'm
our
concerned.
time.
Yeah.
That speech still holds up.
Oh, there you go.
Still holds up.
Well,
But
anyway,
that is interesting, though, that let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
The people that you went to high school with that were like, wow, they're the golden children. They're the beautiful people.
yeah.
Are they doing great now? They can't be doing as great as you. I'm
I
serious.
don't know about that.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, it's a horrible kind of joy you take
Yeah.
when those people who were just like everything went right for them.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I don't want to be an asshole to them. I want to be a kind human being on the planet. But it's like,
Yeah.
okay, good. At least we know that they didn't win some lottery when they were born, and
Yeah.
everything's going to be smooth
Yeah.
sailing for
Yeah.
them.
No, to be fair, some of them are a lot of all the people that were like popular, successful, had everything going good for them. I'd say half of them aren't doing. Half of them are on Facebook posting racist stuff. That's about a good 50% ratio, and I don't think they're doing that great. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's refreshing.
Yeah.
No, but I would say the rest might be doing okay. I mean, I don't think any of them are like. There's maybe a couple people. There were a couple people that were in like the real popular crowd that maybe weren't maybe not total assholes back then, but I didn't really associate them with them much. That I actually do see fairly often. They travel a lot too because we go to a lot of conventions and stuff.
Right.
And there are a couple people that at various times I will see them when we travel, and they're always really nice. Like, hey, wow,
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys are at this thing. Like, we know somebody who I think she's married to a game developer now. So every now and then when we do like PAX and stuff, she's like, whoa, you guys are here. That's really cool. Like, I think her husband worked on like Red Dead or so,
wow.
whatever. And so she's like, wow, it's really cool to see each other. And now she's super nice and whatever. But, back then she wouldn't have hung out with us. So
Got it.
what up? What's up with that? But,
We should call her.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, now that she lives somewhere totally different and is married, now's the time to,
That's right.
pick up the phone. But anyway, we should, we didn't really do much of an introduction. My intro was not very good. I'm proud to say today we're as I said, we're continuing the MLK week stream, and I'm proud. I want to do the real introduction. We have the creator of Last Game Standing, Frank
Thank
Howley,
you
is
so
on the
much.
set today.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So anyway, without further ado, so now we can continue the discussion. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot. Kevin's here.
Yeah, Kevin's here.
And David, Jaffe, maybe you heard. Okay, let me just, I'm going to get this out of the way because this is the next thing I actually do want to bring up. Maybe you heard of God of War. Cool. Good for you. Maybe you heard of Twisted Metal. Congrats. Great. Drawn to Death. The list goes on. Fine. But I want to specifically bring something up. And I hope this is okay. I don't know if this happens to you often. I don't want to fanboy out. That's the opposite of what I want to do today. But when we were in the early Mega 64 year, well, we were a few years into doing Mega 64. We got really serious, and we were editing a lot of videos. But we used to do it just out of I lived with my family, and we did it out of my room just back then. And we would edit videos, and we would sit in that cramped room for all day long and edit videos. And while one person was editing, the rest of us would play video games and just kind of, check in as somebody was editing and look at it. The game we played endlessly all day, every day,
Loved it.
was fucking Calling All Cars.
Oh, really?
That
loved
game,
Calling All Cars.
I can't even begin to tell you how much we played. Like in our early days of editing videos, it was just that. Like it was just relentlessly. The amount of times I would go to bed hearing "it's a hot potato" over and over
Yeah,
and
it was
over.
awesome.
So, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to fanboy out, but that's the one
I
thing
I
I'm gonna
appreciate you
say.
saying that. I mean,
Thank
that was
you.
one of the biggest failures I've ever, worked on. No, I'm not even joking. Calling All Cars was, I don't even think it ever broke even.
Really?
But a lot of it had to do with sort of the platform it was released
Yeah.
on and the art style.
Sure.
But it's wonderful to hear because I was super proud of that game.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first game we did after God of War, and it was like, okay, everybody was expecting me to go off and make more games like God of War, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm really feeling this kind of competitive multiplayer NBA Jam throwback thing.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that it did connect with people.
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
that's wonderful.
Well, and for me, it's funny that you mentioned like maybe there were things affected like with timing and stuff, but
Yeah.
for me the timing couldn't have been better because I think that's why we played it so much was because the PS3 had just come out. And I thought it was really cool that it was like, dude, there's just like full downloadable games on here. I liked the digital games that came out at that time. Like they had like Super Rub-a-Dub.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
with the
Yeah,
game with
yeah.
the ducks. Like that came out and that was cool, whatever, to a point. But once Calling All Cars showed up, that just came at the right place, right time. It was one of the first games I had in like HD. It was downloadable. It was just like I felt like it tapped into all the cool like technology that happened at that point, and I love the style of it. So I don't know. For us, it
It was
landed at the
supposed to
perfect
be
time.
R. Crumb. It was supposed to be like X-rated.
Yeah,
I heard about
cartoony,
that.
And we just, the developer that I worked with in Utah, wonderful developer, but a lot of people out there were very religious, and they're like, you want to have tits and marijuana and shit in this game? I'm like, yeah, it's like R. Crumb, let's do it. And they're like, no. I'm like, great. So we ended up kind of making it very childish thematically. And in that, I think people who had just spent $5.99 US on the fucking PS3
Oh, yeah.
were like, you want me to play this baby game? No. And so that's probably sealed its fate. But I love hearing that you enjoyed it. That
Yeah.
makes me really happy.
Well, I can't say it enough. That was our jam. And I remember the day they announced it was like, okay, we're going to shut down the online or whatever. That was devastating. I mean, that was a dark period in our life. If you notice, if you could probably time it when our videos like dipped in quality during that time. We just-
No more
Yeah.
calling.
we
all cars.
couldn't. We had no reason to stay.
Hey, you play split screen, but whatever.
Yeah. But I like playing with people online. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
But anyway, so David is responsible for a lot of that stuff, and lately too, you've been doing like a lot of streaming and stuff.
yeah.
I have
You found like kind of a thing with that. Like,
I love it so much. I stopped. Drawn to Death was an abysmal failure. The reviewers,
Jeez.
the reviewers hated it and it tanked. I loved it. I think it's one of the best games
Yeah.
I've worked on. Really creative, really interesting game mechanics. Super proud of it. But afterwards, it really, we had to shut our company down, and it was like, okay, do you want to make another video game? And I still might down the road, but I was just like, let me try this live streaming thing that everybody seems to be doing. Not playing games, more like a talk show, and
sure.
it's so much fun. It
Yeah,
is
I was gonna say
so
like people
much
seem to
fun.
really dig it.
Yeah, I'm learning as I go. I was saying to you guys earlier, it's like it's hard to know. Like even right now, I have this Pavlovian response. I'm watching the chat. go
Oh,
by,
yeah?
and all I want to do is respond to every single fucking person. And it's a skill I guess you ultimately learn. It's like that's a worthy comment that's going to
Yeah.
entertain the rest of the chat. Let that one go. The guy I literally got asked the other day. It's like Jaffe. The problem is you don't know. You don't know where the pot of gold is going to be. Somebody literally asked me the other day. It's like Jaffe, would you suck a dick for $1 billion to get the money to make your next game? Right. And I was like, well, let me answer that question. That's an interesting question. I should have just not answered it, but it ended up being like one of the most popular videos So I'm like, you never know what fish hook to grab, that comes down at you. And so it's really hard for me right now to know it. But when it works, I absolutely adored it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, cool. That's great. I've really enjoyed them, and I think that's awesome. To see you embrace it like that, I was like, when you started doing it, I was just like, oh, is this like a regular thing? This is cool. And then you went for it.
I think the whole appeal too, specifically with like David Jaffe, is for the longest time it seems video game development and everything had no transparency. Stuff was so closed doors, and now like David Jaffe and others are kind of out and just saying like, yeah, I've worked in video games. Let's talk about it. Like, like it's so cool to have this access now because I grew up loving video games, but my only like access to it was like EGM or video game magazines, which maybe had slivers of interviews.
Absolutely.
But you're streaming almost like every day, and people can just come in like, "Hey, David Jaffe, what about this?"
But it's hard because you want to make sure you convert them from fans of one medium, and go like my favorite is when someone comes in and says, "I love Twisted Metal," and I love that. It makes me so happy. Look, the fact that people love Twisted Metal and God of War is what allows me to sit on my ass and do streaming because I ain't making any money off it right now. I haven't monetized it yet, but. To convert someone like that into saying, I love the work Jaffe did with these teams, but now I actually also enjoy this content. Because a lot of times you can tell the fans that come in and it's like, we were talking earlier about who was it that was an autograph, Val Kilmer?
I forgot his name, but he played Migosh.
Right, but it's like what you don't want to do is become like the virtual version of like meet and greets at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
The only reason they're showing up is because I fucking know you from that interview with Jeff Keighley, and I'm talking to a guy that's semi-famous at one point, and like, okay, great, and I appreciate that, and thank you, but now can we try to, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's interesting how that has all kind of opened up. But as you were saying, like it was for a long time very I remember going to our first we got hired to do the videos at GDC at the Game Developers Conference. Sorry, I can't.
I saw the first one was Eco, right?
In
I
2006.
loved that. I was in the audience and I saw the Eco. It was fucking hilarious.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember that was the first, our first GDC, and they brought us into the awards hall or whatever. Like, okay, here's where they're going to play your videos. And again, that for me, it was like the exposure to, everywhere I looked, it was like, I know who all these people are. Like and you were actually the first person I talked to when we went to that. Literally, I think they were serving drinks or something.
Okay.
And I went up and you were right there and you turned around and I was like, hey, I'm a big fan. Like, I did not know. I had no idea what to say because it was like, I'd never just been around like and then we went to GDC like a bunch more times and it was like, oh, everyone's just like doing their thing. Like, it's totally, but at that time, it was so closed off. It was so rare to see people just in their element, game developers, I should say, like that was so weird to me. Like, and now it's totally different time. And I think that's great. I think that's really cool. Like, I think it's everything's in kind of an interesting shift, where everybody is kind of like, freely talking about stuff, and then you get crazy stuff coming out of it, you know.
Yeah,
But,
because everyone's like become a personality. So like one thing I'm really fascinated is like you were making games like in the 90s. You briefly mentioned like E3 and like that's something that we've seen the evolution of. Now E3 is this giant streaming event. Everyone has content. There's YouTubers on the show floor. And again, tying back to like the way I learned about it was like months later, it'd be an article in a magazine.
Right.
What was it like building a game, coming to E3? I mean, it seems like maybe it's a different world. But sorry, I'm excited to dive into this. But you specifically mentioned Atlanta E3. Our experience is going to LA, which is such a big hub.
Yeah.
What was E3 like back when it was in Atlanta?
Well, I mean, E3. Well, there's. I don't know which question you're asking.
Yeah.
There's what was E3 like when it was like just starting, which doesn't matter where it was, and then there's specifically what was E3 like in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I mean, Atlanta. I grew up in the South. I love the South, but Atlanta is a shithole in the summer because it's so fucking humid.
Yeah, we did a
So
con there in the summer, and
It is miserable. Like
was
I
rough.
remember growing up, and my dad would have to go out and say, "Let me go start the car and the AC." To just run for 20 minutes before we even leave the house because it's like you're stepping out into Tatooine or something. It's awful. It's fucking awful. So, but E3 back then really was a very different kind of show in the sense that, you know, right now you go to E3 and you know what's going to be there a week to a month in advance.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, there's all the fucking lines. And then it's so absurd to me. It's like, are you excited to go to E3, Jaffe? It's like, why? So I can wait in a fucking line to get into a tiny little booth where they're going to show me a video that's already going to be on YouTube by the time I get home from LA. It's but back then though, you didn't know what was going to be there. You knew some of the big titles, but there was like rumors. It's like, what, you're telling me Mario 64? Like, I remember flying to Atlanta for E3 96.
Yeah.
And there was a USA Today ad that Nintendo had taken out, which showed Mario spinning Bowser around by the tail. It was a full-page color ad, and it basically was for E3 saying, you know, in 2 days, you know, Nintendo reinvents the platform or something like that. And it was like, so up until I'm sitting on the plane reading USA Today, I didn't know that Mario 64 was going to be there, you know? So it's everything from these big games all the way down to these like obscure little things that like you've never heard of that you just turn a corner at E3 and you're like, fuck, what the hell is that? So there was this sense of Christmas and this sense of surprise.
Yeah.
That is gone. And I think E3 now is kind of I don't see the value in E3. I see the value in PAX.
Yeah.
I see the value in PSX. I see the value in what Microsoft just did down in Mexico. But the idea of a trade show specifically at one time of year, it's antiquated now. I think you do it for the fans, and everything else, if you want to do it commercially, you should just drop it on the internet.
And now it's open to the fans. It's just open to the
Oh,
public.
it's so weird.
Yeah.
Which I don't give E3 more than 5 years. I think it's done in 5 years.
No kidding.
Do you remember when
Interesting.
it ended for like a year or
Yeah,
two?
it shifted.
It
like,
was
just
in
being
like an
Santa
airplane
Monica.
hangar.
it was
for
like-
like-
It was in
down.
Santa Monica. They were trying to
Yeah.
make it like Cannes Film Festival, and you had to walk the path out in the beach to get to different hotels.
Yeah.
And to see it didn't work.
I know some people that only went to that E3. Like they've always like, oh, I've always wanted to check out E3, and they went to that one, and they were like,
That's like going to a whorehouse, but instead of like a proper whorehouse, it's like some old lady's house in Nebraska. It's like, well, it's like officially, yes, you've been to a prostitute, but it's not like the bunny ranch and shit. You know? That was not E3.
But it's so funny how many people gave a lot of crap to Nintendo when they like started doing their direct, like Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo Direct.
And it was like, yeah, we're not going to do a keynote like stage presentation. We're going to do that. And everyone mocked it, or a lot of people did, was just like, oh, come on, what are you doing? And now it's like, yeah, that was like the future of it almost. Like that was where it went, you know? It's like, yeah, they do a live stream and 1 billion people tune in and they get surprised as hell.
And they can edit it and control the message.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, they're not on stage with, all right, here's Wii Music. Wait,
and
why
sound-
isn't the violin
missing
working?
sound cues.
That's right.
Yeah, because now Sony's pulled out of E3 this year.
Yeah.
But then, whenever they want to, they have PSX Direct.
that may be. I saw a story yesterday. There's this thing called CinemaCon, which is like E3 for movies.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And so it's where
I
all
think
the
I went
big
to that one year, or I did something. Yeah.
well, all the big movie studios, you know, show trailers and footage from like the big movies they have coming out. It's
Yeah.
for the exhibitors, people who own movie theaters.
Yeah.
And this year, Sony is not going. Sony has a bunch of big fucking movies coming out in the next 18 months. So I don't know if it's some kind of mandate from on high. It's like what they said was we're going to get more traction this year if we just start dropping things on social media and it's very targeted. So I don't know if it's necessarily Sean Layden saying, let's not go to E3 this year, fellas, because, you know, we're working maybe on PS5 and all the
Yeah.
things people have speculated. Or maybe it is more of a Sony-wide message of like, why are we spending this fucking money
Yeah.
to do this when we can just basically hit the audience that we need to hit
Yeah.
just by dropping it on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever?
Yeah, that is interesting. That's an interesting thought. Going back though, it's funny you were talking about E3 and like what is the value of E3 though.
Right.
I will give you just if there's any personal value it has to me, I will say that the one thing they did this last year I did appreciate, which was they've kind of opened it to the public now, which it's like, well, if you're doing that, then why don't we just then go to PAX or go to, any of these. But I will say that this last year, and this is a selfish thing, but they had industry hours in the morning. And so we went, and it was like for like 3 or 4 hours, it was only industry. So the demos were just wide open. So it was like, so I just like,
That's wonderful.
within 3 hours, it was like, wow, I checked out Resident Evil. I checked out that. I'm ready. I'm good. I'm done. So it's like with it, that was one thing where it was like, okay, I got to like go and play all those things. That was fun.
And then I felt bad because once it was public hours, people had to wait like 3 hours to check out Bethesda's
Just
booth
to look at a game.
and-
Yeah.
Fuck. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm like, there is a breed of person, and I can't fathom why I would get up and go wait in line for like 7 hours to play a 20-minute demo of Mario fucking Odyssey.
Yeah.
As much as I
You know
love,
you're gonna buy already.
Yeah, I love Mario Odyssey, but I'm like, it just doesn't seem a good investment of your time. And
Yeah.
so, no, I'm all for the fan shows. I think you can actually structure the experience for the fan. It's a very different experience than what some guy from Target who's walking around trying to figure out, because that's what E3 used to be. It was like,
Right.
what are we going to order for the Christmas season?
Yeah.
All the buyers came out from Target, Walmart, what have you,
Yeah.
to play the games, and you saw them with their little fucking notepads. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this game looks pretty good. Add 20% order to the
Yeah.
Walmart order of, Rise of the Robots or some shit.
Yeah.
So it's a very different reason E3 exists than something like PAX or PSX.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, really the only time, and I would avoid waiting in the long lines. I never was interested in that too. I'm on the same page. The only time that I ever would do it where it was like, okay, I might wait a while is when it was like some kind of like incredible new hardware experience. Like I remember when the Wii was announced, that was like, wait, what the hell is this thing? That was like a mind blower. So that it was like, all right, I'm willing to like wait a little bit to like look at that, because again, you didn't know, is that gonna be hard to get when it comes out? Is it, I would say there was a little, again, this is 13 years ago, but there was motivation when I was younger to like, okay, I'm gonna scope that out.
I'm the same with VR. Like if
Yeah.
somebody said, Jaffe, you can play Oculus Quest as a demo and you have to wait 2 hours, I'd be like, okay. Because I can't I can't imagine what that would be like at this point. Because that I can't wait for. People say, are you excited about PS5?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah.
And the games will be great. I'm
Yeah.
excited. But to me, wireless VR that has a really good processor like the
Yeah.
Oculus Go, or maybe PSVR 2 if they make it,
Yeah.
and it's room-based. I don't know if you guys have played with room-based or room-scale VR.
I've seen it, but I've never experienced
Yeah.
it.
It is, it's the holodeck.
Yeah.
It's literally, I'm not overselling it, fellas. I don't like, hyperbole. You literally put the goddamn thing on.
Yeah.
And you are, anywhere you walk,
Yeah.
the world responds to you. It is like stepping into have you done the Disneyland thing?
I was
With
just
the
about to ask
backpack?
about it. No, I still haven't.
Because that's even better.
Yeah.
That's even fucking better because the sets are 1-to-1, right? With the
Yeah.
real life model.
You're talking about the Void, that
Yes,
place. That's
where
what
you
it
have a
was. Yeah.
backpack PC and you put VR on.
Yeah.
And they've literally modeled with like plexiglass and fiber, very, very safe foam
Yeah.
material. But it's 1-to-1 with what the sci-fi Star Wars world looks like.
Yeah.
And it's like it transports you.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Isn't there like, I haven't done it, but isn't there like heat and like smells and stuff?
Shit blows at you and stuff.
Yeah.
There's LA, you can ride a go-kart right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like a Mario Kart sci-fi track, but you're actually on a K1 car and you're wearing a fucking VR headset and you're like driving in like a Sonic the Hedgehog Mario track.
They even have official like VR Mario Kart too. I've seen
Is
that
that right?
around. Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
it's just a version of Mario Kart that I've seen traveling around. It's not it just pops up occasionally, but it looks really cool.
VR, man. I know it hasn't caught on like I assumed it would, but it's amazing. I
Didn't
love
you
it.
have like a VR game concept you talked about at
I
one
had a
point?
bunch. We were doing an Iron Man game at Bartlett Jones where you could
Yeah.
actually you could talk to Jarvis, so it used the headset on the PSVR.
Oh, yeah,
And so you were
yeah.
talking to Jarvis, and you could give it commands to make changes to your suit. And you had the second player, because PSVR has the second player can be on the screen while you're in VR.
Okay.
And so you were Iron Man flying around, and the guy down below was either Captain America or Nick Fury, depending on the scenario.
Okay.
And we never got a deal to do it, but yeah, I totally wanted to do a VR game. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got to check out that Void thing. I meant to. That it's in downtown Disney, outside of Disneyland, and I know there were a lot of people who we had our game days event there.
They went and checked it out and said it was really cool.
Yeah, a lot
what
of
I
people
hear.
went to it, and I wasn't sure because I think it's like $35 to do it or something like that. And I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, is that worth it or not?" But everyone I talked to said it was. Like they said it was cool. There's a Wreck-It Ralph thing in there now, which is I'm going to say not as cool as Star Wars, but
They took the Star Wars one out.
but
No,
I think they
you can
are actually
request
running
it.
both. Yeah,
Okay.
you can request. So that's probably a good thing. But anyway, well, that's cool. But the problem here is we've gotten so far off the subject, which is fast food, mishaps, and we got to talk about what the people are really wanting to know, which is what is the most screwed up fast food experience you've ever had? Have you ever had an experience where you went and
trying to think
it was
about.
like terrible?
I know that somebody I know had a staple in their burrito, but that wasn't me. That was somebody else.
That was the same Mexican food place we all went, and they kept doing little things like that. And I remember it was the finale of Lost, and me and Garrett, we got burritos. Like, I don't know what it was like. Dude, we're gonna watch the finale of Lost. All right, let's get burritos. Yeah, let's do it. And we sat down, and it was starting. And I think his taco, it looked like it had been stepped on. And then it had like a staple in it, and then my burrito had like remnants, like eggshells were in it, and we were like, I don't think we can go to that place anymore. But then they turned it around. We went again like 7 years later. Like for some reason we were in that area, and it's like let's give it a try, and it was better. And
Why
we're
would
like,
you
thanks.
go
And then they
back?
closed. We thought it had almost been a decade, so it's like
Yeah.
we were nearby, and it was the only thing open. So it's
okay,
like, well,
okay.
let's try it, I guess.
Any port in a storm.
And yeah, exactly. And it was better. And then suddenly they closed permanently. Like randomly, like then we drove by it like a couple days later, and it was like their ghosts just lingered around to try to make it up to us. And then when we had a good burrito, they were like, now we can finally pass on. And they left. So anyway. Well, but what about you? Have you ever had a bad experience?
At a fast food restaurant?
Like food
Not-
poisoning or something?
Well, but not at a fast food restaurant.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I had chicken at a place in San Diego once, and I've never been so sick in my fucking life.
Oh, no.
Oh,
That
you
was-
gonna name drop? You gonna?
I don't think I want to get sued, but
he's gonna
all I
drag
can
him.
tell you is, it's quite the fascinating experience to be in your shower and it's coming out your butt and it's coming out your mouth at the same
That's
time.
always the greatest.
And you look like a fucking rooster. It's
Yeah.
like, psh, and
Yeah.
but yeah, it is insane. But no, fast food. No, not really. I was gonna say I've been fortunate, but I think what happens is, one of the things that happens is when you die, like the angels say, okay, I just want to show you something. Here's all the shit you've eaten that you have no idea.
Yeah.
We just wanted to show you before you kind of, get rid of your mortal body.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I've put stuff in my body that I've been like, oh my God, if I
That was
would've
in there?
known. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, nothing comes to mind. I've been,
That's funny you bring that up because that's always been my hope with the afterlife. If there's any form of afterlife, my whole life, and that's the question is like, what would you want the afterlife to be? For my whole life, I've always wanted it to be just stats. Like when I die, it's like at the end, when you beat a game
Yeah,
and
game
it's like,
clear, yeah.
this is how many times you died. This is how many times you got a headshot. This
How
is
many ink ribbons
That's
you
what I
used.
want. When I'm dead, I want it to be like, look at the shit you ate. Like statistically, this is what you ate versus that. Like you 1%, 0.1% salad. And look how many times you had, Diablo shrimp burritos. Like,
It's like how much piss you've pissed in your life and stuff.
yeah, how much Capricorn? Well, my God would call it gabagool.
Gabagool.
So, that's what I want, the statistics. And then at that point, it doesn't matter. Like,
then it can
heaven,
just
hell,
go, it
doesn't
can just
matter.
go dark after that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't care. I just want the stats so I can just look at that and go, okay. And, I don't know what good it would do me at
You
that
want to like
point.
S rank life, but
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, new game plus.
Oh, there you go.
And then they'd have me come back to write for the Big Bang Theory because that was so funny. So,
wait for the chat to get, stop laughing.
wait
before
for
you
the.
say-
I'm gonna wait for the
Yeah.
chat to stop laughing at that epic sauce joke. Do you say epic sauce a lot on your streams?
Me?
Yeah. Do you say today's? Do you ever start a stream and say today's stream is going to be random #random sauce?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'd say a lot of things, but not that.
Okay.
I think the
enough.
word, if there were stats, I think motherfucker and fuck, and
Yeah.
I use that a lot on my streams.
Good.
I think, you know what, I was talking yesterday about Mary Marvel on the stream, and I had this theory which was really quite disturbing. And you know who Mary Marvel is? You know who Shazam is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up looking at Mary Marvel and having a crush on her, like I have a crush on Supergirl,
Sure.
because they draw Mary Marvel as a grown fucking woman.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
like she's got boobs and butt, and she's a grown ass woman, and
Hell
like
yeah.
she's fucking hot. And there's a comic out now with Mary Marvel, and when she says Shazam, she fucking converts to like an 8-year-old child. And you're like, oh my God, that is so disgusting. All this time, it never occurred to me. It's like Big with Tom Hanks. It's like when that woman fucked Tom Hanks, but she's really fucking this little 13-year-old kid. And you're like, it's so gross. Okay,
no,
so
I'm so
anyway,
sorry.
on that particular stream, I used the phrase, oh, Mary Marvel would take me into the back shed and she'd show me where the horse bit her. And people were like, what the fuck does that mean? And I'm like, A, I'm from the South, B, I'm old, C, that's probably like 1920s colloquialism, but I like to throw out the 20s colloquialisms, like I'll show you where the horse bit me, because I think it's charming and affable and fun. But the point is, that's disgusting about Mary Marvel, and I will never look at her in the same way again. And if you're a grown-ass woman out there looking at Zachary Levi, or you're a gay man looking at Zachary Levi in the Shazam costume, and you're thinking, that's a hot superhero. No, it's a fucking child. You never think about it, because they present them
Busted.
like alpha men and women, and it's like, no, there's a kid in there. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
All you Subway lovers watching that movie,
Yeah.
That's right.
take it elsewhere.
Jared's like, can we watch that in prison tonight? Jared, no, man. We're fucking watching Fast and the Furious. All right.
Well, there you go. Now it's been told. There it is. The statement has been made.
Oh, shut up. Look at RoboCat. FBI, open up. I'm telling you, it's gross.
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
anti
he's trying
that.
to do,
I'm
trying to do a
save
public
you.
service.
That's
Yeah.
right.
He's trying to do a public service. Come on. Why were we on that subject again? I
Fast
can't remember.
food.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
fast
because you
food.
said epic sauce.
Yeah.
Hashtag epic sauce. Yeah, that is what it is. But anyway, we were just talking about, bad fast food experience. No. Okay, so you talked about being in the shower and it was geysering out of all ends or whatever you were
Yes.
saying. Okay,
Yes.
that happened to me once. You know what's funny is maybe it's not funny. Maybe it's actually really just disgusting and I don't need to share it. But when I was in Vegas once, I ate somewhere, whatever, and I had, it was like insane food poisoning. It wrecked my trip. And I was like, it was like cannon fire out every end possible at the same time. I'm talking like you're sitting down and then you're standing up and it's the bathtub's in front of you and you don't know which one to spend most of your time at. It's just terrible. Now, but I couldn't figure it out.